We've done a study of the last 200 organizations that we've recruited permanent roles for, and we've looked at the working arrangements. So up to almost a third, so 32.5% are asking for people to be in the office 5 days a week. And bear in mind, last year when we run through this exercise, it was 25%. 18% are asking people to do 4 days a week. This is pretty similar to last year. 46.5%, it's 3 days a week. This is very similar to last year. So the real change has been less remote and 2 days and a slight increase in the 5 days a week. Now, I went away and asked the team at Richard Lloyd what did they think people were doing when we met them as candidates. And their view was they thought about a fifth was doing 5 days a week in the office. 23% were doing 4 days, 41% was doing 3 days. So the most popular option is definitely the 3 days a week in the office for many people. So how do accountants prefer to work? Well, interesting question. We conducted a poll recently, and this is how people like to work. In 2025, 14% want to work fully remotely anywhere in the country. 53% want to do only 1 to 2 days in the office, which I don't think is much. 29% want to do 3 to 4 days in the office, and 4% want to do 5 days. So the message is very clear. Accountants like a hybrid working arrangement. And if you want to attract the best talent, if your organization is dictating 5 days, that will impact the talent pool you can choose from. And on this subject, we do find that there's quite a few candidates who will ring up and say, listen, we have the dream job for you, the job and the company that you've told us you want to work for. But often the question we get hit with first is, what are the working arrangements? So we asked another poll, have you been asked to change your working from home setup? And here, 16% have been asked and are okay with it. 20% have been asked and aren't happy about it. 24% haven't been asked and they want to work from home a little bit more. And 39% haven't been asked and are happy. So it's some interesting feedback that we're receiving about what's actually happening out there with the working from home trends. So we do know in the future, there's a fair bit of a challenge. Working from home, in my view, is definitely here to stay. But as organizations, we need to understand how do we meet the challenge of working from home. And one of the big things is how do we get fresh ideas? I'm not sure if many people have heard of the expression job huggers. Job hugging is where an employee stays in a role even though they're unhappy or find the role unfulfilling. I heard a stat a while ago which said only 13% of people who work in Australia feel engaged in what they do, which is startlingly low. So we need to find ways to look to see how do we keep staff more engaged, especially those who are working remotely or we're not seeing that much of. How do we keep developing and training these staff? How do we keep making our workplaces collaborative? We need to find some solutions. And interestingly, with the fully remote, let me tell you a story. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who runs an IT consulting business. They're fully remote, no office presence. And they asked me if one of their sales staff could come and spend a day in our office here in Sydney, because they had never worked in a proper sales environment and they didn't really understand how it worked from a cultural perspective. So it's interesting the problems that people are facing with the new working from home arrangements, and who knows, some new industries may set up which offer simulated workplaces. Who knows? If you wish to find out any further information, please go to our website or get in touch with one of our consultants after you've watched this. We'd love to help you out and we look forward to hearing from you.